political fireworks today at the U.S. Senate. Dr. Fauci and Senator Rand Paul going at it. We're going to play that clip for you because most of you have a job and you didn't get to see it. Well, it's my job to make sure that you do see it. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Welcome to the program, friend. The COVID confusion is starting to grow exponentially in America and around the world. What is the latest strain? How deadly is it? How not deadly is it? Who should be wearing masks? What states are in lockdowns? How many people are in a hospital? Senator Sotomayor telling something from the bench that was a complete falsehood. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I want to play for you the exchange that happened earlier today between Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. Here it is in living color.
Senator Paul.
Dr. Fauci, the idea that a government official like yourself would claim unilaterally to represent science, and that any criticism of you would be considered a criticism of science itself, is quite dangerous. Central planning, whether it be of the economy or of science, is risky because of the fallibility of the planner. It would not be so catastrophic if the planner were simply one physician in Peoria. Then the mistakes would only affect that physician's patients, the people who chose that physician. But when the planner is a government official, like yourself, who rules by mandate, the errors are compounded and become much more harmful. A planner who believes he is the science leads to an arrogance that justifies, in his mind, using government resources to smear and to destroy the reputations of other scientists who disagree with him. In an email exchange with Dr. Collins, you conspire, and I quote here directly from the email, to create a quick and devastating published takedown of three prominent epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. Apparently there's a lot of fringe epidemiologists at Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. And you quote in the email that they, or from Dr. Collins, and you agree that they are fringe. And immediately there's this takedown effort. A published takedown, though, doesn't exactly conjure up the image of a dispassionate scientist. Instead of engaging them on the merits, you and Dr. Collins sought to smear them as fringe and take them down. And not in journals, in lay press. This is not only antithetical to the scientific method, it's the epitome of cheap politics, and it's reprehensible, Dr. Fauci. Do you really think it's appropriate to use your $420,000 salary to attack scientists that disagree with you?
The email you're referring to was an email of Dr. Collins to me. If you look at the email
that you responded to and hurried up and said, I can do it. We got something in Wired magazine.
No. I think in usual fashion, Senator, you are distorting everything about me.
Did you ever object to Dr. Collins' characterization of them as fringe? Did you write back to Dr. Collins and say, no, they're not fringe, they're esteemed scientists, and it would be beneath me
I did not
to do that? You responded to him that you would do it, and you immediately got an article in Wired, and you sent it back to him and said, hey, look, I've got him. I nailed him in Wired of all scientific
That's not
publications.
what went on.
You
there
did.
you go again.
That
You
was your
just do
response.
the same thing every hearing.
That was your response. And
So-
this wasn't the only time. So your desire to take
You're
down
absolutely
people.
incorrect. As usual, Senator, you are
No.
incorrect almost everything you
Well,
say.
no, you deny, but the emails tell the truth of this.
No.
This wasn't the only time. Your desire to take down those who disagree with you didn't stop with Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. You conspired with Peter Daszak, who you communicated with privately, and other members of the scientific community that wrote opinion pieces for Nature. 5 of them signed a paper for Nature, an opinion piece. 17 signed a paper that called it conspiracy theory, the idea that the virus could have originated in the lab. Do you think words like conspiracy theory should be in a scientific paper?
Senator, I never used that word when I was referring to it. You're distorting virtually everything.
Did you communicate with the 5 scientists who wrote the opinion piece in Nature where they were describing, there's no way this could have come from the lab?
That was not me. What I
Did you talk with any of those scientists
but
privately?
you keep distorting the truth. It is stunning how you do that.
Did you talk to any of the scientists privately
Yes.
who wrote the opinion? You did.
Well-
What were they telling you privately?
Well, let me explain. You know, you're going back to that original discussion when I brought together a group of people to look at every possibility with an open mind. So not only are you distorting it, you are completely turning it around, as
Were most
you
of the
usually
scientists
do.
that came to you privately, did they come to you privately and say, no way, this came from the lab? Or was their initial impression, Dr. Gary and others that were involved, was their initial impression actually that it looked very suspicious for a virus that came from a lab?
Senator, we are here at a committee to look at a virus now that has killed almost 900,000 people. And the purpose of the committee was to try and get things out, how we can help to get the American public. And you keep coming back to personal attacks on me that have absolutely no relevance to reality.
Do you think anybody has had more influence over
let
our
me
response to
finish.
this than you have? Do you think
Madam
it's a great
Chair,
success? Do you think it's a great success what's happened so
Right.
far? Do you think
You
the
have
lockdowns
said-
were good for our kids? Do you think we slowed down the death rate? More people have died now under President Biden than did under President Trump. You are the one responsible. You are the architect. You are the lead architect for the response from the government, and now 800,000 people have died.
Right.
So you think it's a winning success, what you've advocated for government?
Senator, first of all, if you look at everything that I said, you accuse me of in a monolithic way telling people what they need to do. Everything that I've said has been in support of the CDC guidelines. Wear a mask, get boosted.
And you've advocated to make it coercive and
Take a
done
look
through
at
force, and
everything
you've
that I've
advocated that
said.
it be done by mandate.
Right.
You've advocated that your infallible opinion be dictated by law.
Right. So again, Madam Chair, I would like just a couple of minutes because this happens all the time. You personally attack me, and with absolutely not a shred of evidence of anything you say. So I would like to make something clear to the committee. He's doing this for political reasons. What you need to do is, he said in front of this committee.
You think your takedown of
I
three
was-
prominent
I was
epidemiologists was not political?
You don't want me
That
to
was my
finish because
question.
you know what I'm going to say.
That was the question. Were
Senator,
you
we
political
will-
in taking
at this-
down
at
these
this
three
point-
prominent
Senator
epidemiologists?
Paul, if you would please, I'm going to allow Dr. Fauci to respond. We have a number of senators who would like to ask questions, and I would like him to be able to respond. Please do so.
So
All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play Dr. Fauci's response. Whew, was he mad? But we'll respond to his anger too. Don't go away. Well, we have to give that first round to Senator Rand Paul. Ding, ding. The other senator intervened, and let's let Dr. Fauci have his piece. So here goes Dr. Fauci for the jugular.
the last time we had a committee, or the time before, he was accusing me of being responsible for the death of 4 to 5 million people, which is really irresponsible. And I say, why is he doing that? There are two reasons why that's really bad. The first is it distracts from what we're all trying to do here today, is get our arms around the epidemic and the pandemic that we're dealing with, not something imaginary. Number two, what happens when he gets out and accuses me of things that are completely untrue is that all of a sudden that kindles the crazies out there, and I have threats upon my life, harassment of my family and my children with obscene phone calls because people are lying about me. Now, I guess you could say, well, that's the way it goes. I can take the hit. Well, it makes a difference because, as some of you may know, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on December 21st, a person was arrested who was on their way from Sacramento to Washington, D.C., at a speed stop in Iowa. And the police asked him where he was going, and he was going to Washington, D.C. to kill Dr. Fauci. And they found in his car an AR-15 and multiple magazines of ammunition because he thinks that maybe I'm killing people. So I ask myself, why would Senator want to do this? So go to Rand Paul website and you see Fire Dr. Fauci with a little box that says, contribute here. You can do $5, $10, $20, $100. So you are making a catastrophic epidemic for your political gain. So the
You
only
have
thing that- the
politically
only thing
attacked
that I
your
can-
colleagues, and in a politically reprehensible
The
way,
only
you
thing that I
attacked their
could think of-
reputations.
Okay,
You won't
we-
defend it.
No,
You won't
well,
argue it.
I'm
You'll just
sorry,
simply
but we're
turn around
going
the
to
attack.
continue this hearing. We
Yeah.
have a number of questions from
Just
other
one
senators.
more minute, please.
Well,
if
Dr.
my-
Fauci, I really appreciate your response, but we do have a number of questions from senators, and we do have a second round, and I'm being asked to make sure that everybody has their time, so thank you.
Now, let's be honest. Rand Paul is using this politically. You know why? He's a politician. And this is about public policy. And that's what politics are about. Public policy, laws, what the government can ask us to do, what it can force us to do, what it can punish us if we don't do, or punish us if we do. That's what politics are about, people. And Rand Paul rightly pointed out in that exchange, if you noticed, that Fauci is a political animal, wanting to take down those scientists. And then Fauci has the unmitigated gall to say, you're accusing me without a shred of evidence. He's got your emails in front of him. What are you talking about without a shred of evidence? This is insanity. Well, we're going to see what happens, and we'll see if and when the public turns far enough against Dr. Fauci that the Biden people have to let him go. You know, there are people who were advising President Trump to get rid of Fauci early on. But the Trump people crunched the numbers, and Fauci's numbers were high enough in polling data that it would have been a political disaster for President Trump if he'd have let him go. And then Fauci became sort of cemented into the status quo as the resident genius. And there's a lot of people right now that are questioning his genius. Sotomayor might be one of them. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at how one of the justices of the Supreme Court put her foot in her mouth and barely was able to get it out just to change her sock. I'll be right back. President Biden has been issuing some pretty sweeping regulations or mandates from the government under the guise of OSHA for companies that have 100 or more people, or for hospitals. And multiple governors across the country have sued and said, we refuse to let these plans be implemented in our states. They have gone to court in multiple jurisdictions, and in most jurisdictions, they've won. So last Friday was the hearing before the Supreme Court, and I'm sure that most of you heard a lot of the news that came out of it. One of the funnier elements, for those of you who missed it, was Justice Sonia Sotomayor saying that there were 100,000 kids in the hospital right now. 100,000 children hospitalized with COVID. And, you know, the fact checkers on the left, the right, and in the center were like, whoa, what are you talking about? So the CDC was called to task, and they said that, well, maybe there's 3,500. Almost none of them are on ventilators. So she got it completely, totally, horribly wrong. But here's the thing. She is a political figure, all right? She makes policy. That's what the Supreme Court does. Whether we want to admit it or not, or whether we want to say it or not, the Supreme Court makes policy. And she's sitting up there with data in her head coming out of her mouth that is fraudulent. It's not enough to say incorrect. When you say that there's 100,000 kids in a hospital and there's 3,500 or less, you're off by 96,500. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is. You're off by, what, 2,000%? I mean, it's some ridiculous number, more than that. It's about 3,000. You're off by about 3,000%. If you run the numbers in reverse, 3,500 to 1,000, this is insanity. So you, at least I do, I have to step back and say, how many other times are the justices rendering decisions regarding our constitutional liberties, or the ones that they are taking away? How often are they making those decisions with faulty facts in their head, which lead to faulty logic in their decisions and lead to us losing constitutional liberties or lead to iniquitous, tyrannical decisions being implemented by the court and then enforced by our several state governments. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. I was on the ground opposing her. If you look back, if you want a fun news search, go to put in my name and put in Justice Sotomayor's name and look at all the news that comes up in Washington, D.C. because of the protest that we were leading saying that she is unfit to serve. But I digress. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at a little bit else of what's in the news. I am your servant, Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome back to the program, friend. I need to be careful what I say here. Fortunately, the television network that carries this program has guts and backbone, and they give me pretty much free rein to say what I believe. And, it's on me, it's not on them. But the tech giants, the tech tyrants, like Google and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, etc., they will slash people like me to ribbons and cancel my program, as so many of the other programs have in fact been canceled. So I'm reading this story earlier today about Fauci and Senator Rand Paul going at it. And in the story, on an MSNBC platform, is the mockery of the idea that people were in fact taking ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine with other substances to fight COVID once they got it. Now remember, for the longest time, if you got COVID, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. You might live, you might die. You might get hospitalized. You might go on a ventilator. But the people that were taking various drugs off-label and they were working, okay, those people were being mocked. They were being vilified. Anyone who talked about them had their platforms shut down. This is an offense against liberty. This is an offense against free speech. And it hampers debate, discussion, doubt. It hampers the things that are a part of the part and parcel, the very core of free speech and free thought. We're getting to the place now where we have thought police. We're not going to let you think that these drugs might help you if you get COVID, if you take them early on. We don't care about the book that just came out, written by 2 physicians who have treated 7,000 patients using ivermectin and other substances and had phenomenal success. We don't care. That's a clinical trial, people. 7,000 patients qualifies as a clinical trial, all right? And yet, the tech giants want to suppress the very discussion of these things. Why? This is what I don't understand. I have a friend who died from COVID, went in the hospital, and we were saying to the wife, ask the doctor to prescribe this. It's helped some people. The doctor refused to do it, would not let the wife in. He dies in the hospital. Another acquaintance of mine, talked to her yesterday. Her son died 6 months ago to the day. 26 years old, healthy. Went into the hospital with COVID, wouldn't treat it, wouldn't give him any medicine to actually treat the COVID, but they did put him on the ventilator and they did give him, you know what, remdesivir, is that how you say it? I always get the name wrong. And he's dead. A 26-year-old young man, her only child. He's dead. This is an offense. This is horrible. And you look at the difference in the states and the stats, like New York and Florida, the way they've handled the crisis, what they're allowing doctors to do, what they're pushing for treatment, and what they're pushing for care, and what they're pushing for the criteria of not getting it, managing it, monoclonal antibodies, all these things. When you get it, then you see the difference. You see how politics really is playing a critical and sometimes devastatingly bad role in this crisis. On a comedic note, the lady that we love to mock, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she has a tested positive for the COVID. Yes, señor. She was in Miami partying with some of her friends a la grande fiesta y todavía tiene COVID. She's going to be fine. God love her. But, you know, she's a hypocrite, like so many of these other people. They're telling you don't go out without a mask on. She's at a party. She went to Miami. What's funny is she couldn't go to a party like she wanted to be at in New York, where she's a representative. So she had to kind of skedaddle down to Miami, put on her fancy night dress, take off her fancy mask, do a little partying, and then she got COVID. But she's going to be fine. And she was able to pick it up in a state where she can easily get monoclonal antibodies. So it kind of worked out well for her. I've got to go. I will see you on Thursday. Thank you. God bless you.